Agent Romanoff. You miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Film Artsy. I'm your guy, Trevor Baker, and today we're going to be taking a look at post-credit scenes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that hinted at future movies. What I love about these post-credit scenes is a lot of them not only hinted at future movies, but introduced really new and exciting details to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you think about it, we started with a guy who was rich that made robot suits, and now at the end of the Loki series, we're talking about multiverses, variants, and everything else in between. And in that in-between, we've had Mad Titans wielding Infinity Stones, Smart Hulks, and just so much crazy that we've really been primed for some pretty amazing things that we never thought would hit the big screen. All that being said, let's take a look at these post-credit scenes that tease future Marvel movies and some of the stuff that it primed us for as we made our way to where we are now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let's get started. Starting off with the very first movie is Iron Man 1. Love Iron Man 1, have such good memories of Iron Man 1. It's still a good film, and as I would love to ooze about the storyline of Iron Man 1, at the end of this movie, we do have Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, meeting up with Robert Downey Jr., talking about the possibility of assembling a team, yes, that team being the Avengers. This was a huge, big not even an Easter egg, just a slap in our face that, oh, they have plans to not just make standalone Marvel movies, but they have plans to actually bring together the Avengers team, the team of the Marvel comics. And really the first time we thought of, well, what if all these movies connected? Now, I'm going to script some movies in this, and I know they have end credit scenes, and some might even tease a future movie, but for example, The Incredible Hulk, I don't really view as a big part of the MCU, so I'm going to gloss over it. And then there's a lot of end credit scenes where they dangle a thought or something that could happen, but it never really come to fruition. So we're just going to take those and go, forget them for now. That actually brings us to Iron Man 2, which had a pretty bomb end credit scene, and that's us actually seeing Thor's hammer. This is a huge reveal because obviously they announced the Avengers, which means they're probably going to do Thor, but at this time people were like wanting more realistic superhero movies, or at least we thought that's what we wanted with Batman Begins and Dark Knight, and just that kind of seemed to be the vibe that was working. So to bring that guy like Thor with his blonde hair and bleached eyebrows in the first movie, whew, glad that didn't stick. It was a huge reveal that we were going to get not only robotic playboys who have a lot of money, or even a super soldier in Captain America, but that we were going to get a god of Asgardian, and that's exactly what we got. So that brings us to the Avengers movie. The Avengers movie was a huge cinematic success. The first time the gathering of multiple movie properties successfully into one that everyone really enjoyed, and still one of my more preferred Marvel films. At the end of this movie though, it really is significant for me because I actually watched this with my uncle, and he owns a comic book store, or he did, I don't think he owns it now. At the time when he owned a comic book store, obviously he read a lot of comics, and we got revealed at the end of the Avengers movie that Thanos would be coming. And I remember going like, Thanos is one of the biggest baddies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not only that, it seemed to show that we were going to get Infinity Gauntlet series movies in the future. That was a huge reveal, and although Thanos ended up getting facelift, which we are so grateful for because that Thanos didn't look very good, maybe comic accurate, but it didn't look very good, it was a big deal. The next film that actually had a pretty big revealing end credit scene was Thor Dark World. Now, we all know Thor Dark World is kind of probably the lousiest Marvel movie out there at this point. It's not very good, but its end credit scene was showing us that we had a big, vast Marvel Cinematic Universe coming our way, because they take the ether, the red Infinity Stone, to the Collector to be kept safe, which I don't know if you've ever, how did he look safe? Did that look like a good place to put it? And this is prepping us actually to get the Guardians of the Galaxy. What I love about this end credit scene is it's Marvel saying, hey, we got more whimsical coming. We've shown you Thanos, we've shown you Thor's hammer, and now we're telling you that you're gonna get a talking tree and a raccoon all fighting in space. Like, it's gonna be crazy, and we're gonna do it, and the Infinity Stones are here too.
Before we continue our video, I just want to let you guys know that we have a really cool Instagram that updates on a regular basis. So if you like all things Marvel, this is the Instagram for you. So go follow that Film Artsy Instagram right now. You won't regret it, I promise you. seriously, open Instagram right now and click that follow button. Now back to the video.
Our next huge scene was actually in Captain America the Winter Soldier, where at the end of this film, which is already a pretty good film, we see Wanda Maximoff and Quicksilver. This was a huge reveal. Now at this time, we didn't necessarily know they weren't going to be mutants, but they are actually got their superpowers from the Mind Stone. So that was kind of a big shift. Like, we weren't getting X-Men because at that time X-Men wasn't owned by Marvel, but to get them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe was really the introduction of mutant abilities and magic. Now, not all that gets fleshed out in Ultron, but it opened the door, and it did lead us to those who would be helping Ultron in the future Avengers film. That brings us to Avengers Age of Ultron, one of the movies that didn't necessarily land the plane the first time, but now with WandaVision, I view Age of Ultron is actually a pretty good movie in the beginning of a great character who we have in Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda. But at the end of this movie, we get a confirmation that we are going to get some Infinity War movies, because we have Thanos grabbing the gauntlet and saying, I'm going to do this thing myself. And if you love the comics and you love Thanos and you knew what was happening, to see him put on the gauntlet for the first time was a big deal. Huge reveal in that post-credit scene, and a lot of exciting things was coming up. The next film is actually Ant-Man. At the end of Ant-Man, and I know it feels weird, I'm not like talking about the movie, I'm just talking about the endings. We actually get a scene from Captain America Civil War, which once again, Captain America Civil War was a pretty risky movie to do. We already have the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, and Captain America Civil War, it's almost kind of like a lighter Avengers movie where it pits Tony Stark's Iron Man and Captain America against each other. And so getting a little snippet that this is happening and that Bucky Barnes and Captain America and the Falcon are all on the run, and they're going to be recruiting Ant-Man to help them. We knew it was coming. We were excited about it, and it was confirmed that there was going to be a whole lot of superheroes in this movie. That brings us to Captain America Civil War. Once again, one of my more favorite Marvel movies, and their end credit scenes were incredible, with one of those being actually getting to see Wakanda and knowing that we were going to get a T'Challa Black Panther movie coming with Chadwick Boseman, which was like so excited because Black Panther was a amazing character, but it was one of those outlier characters. Like, doing a standalone film with him would have been really difficult, but with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's possible. And we see that they're giving asylum to Bucky Barnes and cryostasis so he can kind of figure out his junk, which eventually makes him the White Wolf. And we're like, oh, we're getting a Black Panther movie. If that wasn't enough, we got found out that we're going to get a Spider-Man movie as well. Yes, at the very end, we see Peter Parker shoot up the Spidey symbol, and all we knew is that Marvel's like, we're going to do a Spider-Man movie in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and us as fans were like, shut up and take my money. Here it is. Then we got our first magical film, which was Doctor Strange, and although there wasn't any end credit scenes necessarily leading up to Doctor Strange's end credit scene leads into Thor Ragnarok. Now, I know with the end credit scenes we had ideas of what was coming, but these end credit scenes give a flavor of what would come and what characters they are going to flesh out. And we were going to get our third installment of the Thor movies and find out that actually Thor and Loki are headed back to Earth to find Odin. And we didn't know a lot at that point, so that was a really interesting narrative. And also they were working with Doctor Strange, which was interesting in itself. So that was a great end credit scene. I'm going to skip Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because although I had like 12,000 end credit scenes, none of these have really come into fruition. Really the biggest, dangling carrot there still, I think, to my opinion, is Adam Warlock, who we have not gotten in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's just really not worth noting because that didn't tease a future Marvel movie. That does bring me to Thor Ragnarok, which has an ending scene where Thor and Loki and the Asgardians are trying to find their new home, and they run into Thanos' ship, thus confirming that the next Avengers film would kick off the Infinity War and Thanos' quest to get the Infinity Stones to snap off half of existence. So that was pretty cool. And also really bad luck for the Asgardians. It was a rough couple days. That brings us to Avengers Infinity War, where obviously Thanos does collect the Infinity Stones, spoiler alert, and snaps half of life out of existence. And in doing so, we find ourselves looking at Nick Fury, who is about to fade away, and decides that now, despite all the things that have been going poorly, is the time to call Captain Marvel. And this confirming to us that we were going to get a Captain Marvel movie in between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Another film that we got in between these 2 movies was Ant-Man and the Wasp, and really all the end credit scene establishes there is Scott Lang getting caught in the quantum realm during Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet snap. That brings us to actually Spider-Man Far From Home. Remember, Avengers Endgame didn't really have an end credit scene teasing a future movie, which seemed appropriate since it was kind of the end of the big Infinity Saga phase. But Spider-Man Far From Home actually sets us up perfectly for the next Spider-Man movie that we are so highly anticipating. We have James Jonah Jameson revealing the identity of Spider-Man as Peter Parker, thus giving us the Spider-Man No Way Home, or really confirming to us that we're gonna have a new Spider-Man film where he is dealing with his identity being out in the open and probably him being on the run, aka No Way Home. All that being said, these movies tease a lot of the future movies, and it was Marvel's way of priming us down the road from robot suit, philanthropist, playboy guy to we've got Infinity Stones, Mad Titans, and everything else in between. What I love about this is that it just got us excited for what was coming. Marvel's really good about teasing future Marvel things, and I think they're going to keep doing so, and I feel like they already have, so I'm looking forward to that. All that being said, what are some of your favorite Marvel moments where they tease other Marvel movies? I know that Hulk vs. Wakanda at one point, and there's various other ones all in between. If you have a favorite one, drop that in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, please subscribe and like it. It really helps us here. And until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching.